Marjorie Taylor Greene is also joining us this evening. And Congresswoman, I wanted to get you to comment on one of the points that I was just making with our previous panel. It seems there are more FD 1023s, these unclassified documents detailing multiple investigations of influence peddling, criminal influence peddling by the Biden family and Joe Biden himself that were revealed to James Comer and his staff today. Is it a coincidence, do you think, that on a day when the FBI finally comes clean about what they've got on Joe Biden, that all of a sudden we have an indictment of President Trump?
No, I don't think there's any coincidence. And I can tell you, Chris, you're absolutely right. I actually read the FD 1023 form today in the SCIF. And it's ironic it was in the SCIF because this 1023 form is unclassified. So I believe all the American people should be able to see it. But on the 1023 form that lays out in perfect detail and description from the FBI's top paid informant that they say is very credible, one of their most credible informants, it lays out all the truth that we knew all along, that you've reported on and many others, that Joe Biden was involved in pay-to-play schemes in Ukraine involving Burisma. And it says in very clear detail that Joe Biden was paid $5 million and Hunter Biden was paid $5 million to get the work done, to get Victor Shokin, the prosecutor, fired and stop him from investigating Burisma. Hunter was on the board for Burisma, and he wanted to have Burisma buy a U.S. oil and gas company. And he says that he was working that deal. Now, the redacted person that's quoted on the form by the informant said that Hunter Biden was stupid. So they didn't think very highly of them. But they were involved and used to having to pay bribes because that's common in Ukraine and Russia in business. And they were willing to pay a bribe to the vice president of the United States in order to get Victor Shokin fired. But the form references two more 1023 forms. So we know there are at least two more.
Well, it may be common to bribe officials in Ukraine and Russia, but it's also common here in the United States. I mean, Joe Biden, while he was in the Senate, this was the worst kept secret in the United States. He was known as Quid Pro Joe by his fellow Democrats and also Republicans who called Joe Biden their friend. Tell me, Congresswoman, why do you think so many on both sides of the political aisle have been so committed to covering for this man all this time?
Well, I just can't understand it, but I will tell you I was shocked at the SARS reports that we read in the Treasury Department that we've been reading over the past couple of months, over 2,000 pages of them. And the way that these schemes are laid out, it appears that this is possibly something that maybe many other politicians or high-ranking officials in our government may be doing, selling out the United States and our national security in exchange for payments. What they're doing is they get payments, wire transfers from foreign countries into LLCs, which are fake shell accounts. The money goes in the fake shell accounts, and then the money is paid out to multiple Biden family members. We've read that in the SARS reports, and then we subpoenaed bank records. The Oversight Committee staff and all the members have done an incredible job in this investigation, and we've done it in less than 6 months. It was also interesting that on the 1023 form I read today, that the person, the redacted name, but it was really the oligarch that owned Burisma. You could tell that from reading the form. He said that we wouldn't be able, it would take us 10 years to uncover and investigate all of the Biden bank statements and their bank accounts and wire transfers. But we've gotten this far in only 6 months while the FBI did nothing.
Good grief. And you know what, Congresswoman, with all the money that seems to be coming in to Joe Biden, maybe to the FBI, to the DOJ, all this money coming in from foreign sources into the United States, I mean, what do they need the taxpayers' money for? I'm asking that. You know, maybe in the next the debt deal discussions, we can have a conversation about how much money we're dedicating to these agencies that, in my opinion, have betrayed us all. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you very much. Appreciate your time tonight.
Democrat presidential candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden finds himself in more hot water this week. Just confirmed, a Ukrainian court ordered Joe Biden to be formally listed in a criminal case. The crime? The alleged firing of Ukraine's former prosecutor general Viktor Shokin in exchange for dropping an investigation into Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and the company for which he was a board member, Burisma Oil. Shokin formally called for an investigation into his firing back in February of 2020, claiming the Ukrainian government at the time relieved Shokin of his post in exchange for $1 billion in loan guarantees promised by Biden, a bribe Biden himself admitted to doing.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
But at the time Shokin called for this case back in February, the courts listed one of the defendants as an unnamed American, an individual widely understood to be Joe Biden, Obama's Ukraine point man. But Biden was never formally named. Now, the courts have ruled it is improper to conceal Biden's name and that there is sufficient evidence to proceed with an investigation. The ruling cannot be appealed. Another key development in this story is the release of a series of telephone conversations that has garnered major questions. Andrei Derkach, a member of parliament in Ukraine, in a press conference Tuesday released what he says appear to be voice recordings of then Secretary of State John Kerry, Vice President Joe Biden, and then President of Ukraine Poroshenko, discussing the Burisma case and discussing the removal of Viktor Shokin. Neither Kerry, Biden, nor Poroshenko have affirmed the verity of these recordings. The recordings appear to have been leaked from government officials and whistleblowers, but are currently being verified. Ukrainian President Zelensky stated he anticipates more developments over the course of the summer and says the case could qualify as high treason. Candidate Biden has yet to respond to this latest development. Chanel Vian, One American News, the White House.
Very sadly, we're a nation in decline, and yet they go after a popular president, a president that got more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country, by far, and did much better the second time in the election than the first. And they go after him on a boxes hoax, just like the Russia hoax and all of the others. It's been going on for 7 years. They can't stop, because it's election interference at the highest level. There's never been anything like what's happened. I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent person. They had the Mueller hoax, the Mueller report, and that came out. No collusion after 2.5 years. That was set up by Hillary Clinton and Democrats. But this is what they do. This is what they do so well. If they would devote their energies to honesty and integrity, would be a lot better for our country. They could do a lot better. They could do a lot of great things. But when you look at what's happened to our country in the last 3 years, we were energy independent. We had a strong military that wasn't woke. We were doing so well. We were respected all over the world. We got the biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation cuts in history. And what do? You have a president where an election was taken, got more votes than any sitting president in history by far, never anything even close. And they come after me because now we're leading in the polls again by a lot, against Biden and against the Republicans by a lot. But we're leading against Biden by a lot, a tremendous amount. And we went up to a level that they figure the way they're going to stop us is by using what's called warfare. And that's what it is. This is warfare for the law. And we can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them. It's a hoax. The whole thing is a hoax, just like Russia, just like the fake dossier was a hoax. You saw the Durham report. You saw the Mueller report. It was all a big hoax. You had 2 impeachments, and they lost and we won. And we had tremendous support. But that was a hoax and a scam. And now they're doing it again. It's just a continuation, 7 years. even after I'm out. But it's called election interference. They're trying to destroy a reputation so they can win an election. That's just as bad as doing any of the other things that have been done over the last number of years, and especially during the 2020 election. So I just want to tell you, I'm an innocent man. I did nothing wrong. And we will fight this out just like we've been fighting for 7 years. It would be wonderful if we could devote our full time to making America great again. And that's exactly what we did. But now, again, our country is in decline. We're a failing nation. And this is what they do. I'm an innocent man. We will prove that again. 7 years of proving it. And here we go again. Very unfair. But that's the way it is. I just want to thank everybody. We are doing something very special for our country. We're putting America first. I always put America first. And that's why we were in a position. Unfortunately, that position is no longer valid because they've done such a poor job. But we're in a position where we're going to make America great again. I'm innocent, and we will prove that very, very soundly and hopefully very quickly. Thank you very much.
Go to Trump attorney Alina Habba joining us now on the phone. Alina, thank you for joining us. Have you spoken to the president in the last hour?
Yes, I am actually at Trump Bedminster with him now. He's in good spirits, frankly. He really is himself. This is just a normal day in Trump world.
That's a sad reality. What has he said? What has he indicated? I mean, they called him. What did they tell him?
You know, exactly what I think everyone's reporting. I was not part of that call or when he got the information. I am obviously here now, but yeah. I can say that, you know, he's no different than he was in the first Russia hoax. He's no different than he was when DA Bragg used political weaponization of the DOJ to bring charges against him for something that Bill Clinton did times 1,000. And this is a very sad, sad day for our country, in my opinion.
What do you think this, I mean, what happens next? Obviously, you've got Tuesday, 3 p.m. in Miami. What's the process of this look like in your mind?
A lot like what we saw with Bragg, a lot of waste of taxes and American tax dollars and judicial resources so that they can put a political display up. He will need to go in, obviously, Secret Services with him because he is a prior president. This is unprecedented. And he will plead, obviously not guilty, and we'll take it from there.
As far as the case goes from there, what can you tell us? What do you think?
I think that it's as obvious as what the American people see. We had Hillary Clinton who bleached her computer, smashed a phone. We had Bill Clinton's sock thrower fiasco. We have Obama having his documents with NARA at a facility by McDonald's in a parking garage. I mean, you can't make it up, Rob. And the reality of this sad state of affairs is this is political. It's political. It's election interference. I would love to say that it's legal, but it's not. You know, I'm his attorney, but I feel more like a politician these days because the reality of what we've been thrown into is a disgrace to the American Constitution, a disgrace to the American legal system, and a serious need for housekeeping throughout the DOJ, the FBI, and the White House, frankly.
A lot of allegations of prosecutorial misconduct in this case, as well as what we saw with Alvin Bragg and kind of hiding exculpatory evidence from Alvin Bragg. What have you seen in this case?
Yeah, we saw the same thing. I mean, that's part of the reason they went out on Monday was to let them know that, you know, we have whistleblowers coming in. We had, you know, Mark Pomerantz in the DA case. You have whistleblowers coming forward in this. We have a big distraction for what has come out this week about the Biden family with their $5 million bribery scheme, right? So we have news of that coming out, you know, Comer, everybody in Washington trying to get to the bottom of that. And what happens? The big shiny Trump ball comes out so that people don't look at Biden, they look at Trump. And I hope the American people, and I know I have faith in the American people that they're smarter than they think we are. And we know what is what, and we know where this angle is coming from.
Alina Habba, thank you so much for calling in tonight. We do appreciate it.
Of course.
Good to see you.
Of course. Thanks.